Okay, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackert,
And I'm Leonka Reina.
and this is the Hustle Mystic Morning Show. Today, we're talking with Phyllis Douglas, and we are going to go deep into the angels. And we just got introduced to her a couple weeks ago, and we were just blown
Oh,
away.
yes.
The transmission just pretty much like took us into our astral bodies, and we were just like, wee!
But before we jump into all this, let me just say a couple words about Phyllis.
Mhm.
Phyllis Ann Douglas is an embodied conduit working in union with the eternal omnipresence through the Elohim as the celestial intelligence who guides and co-creates the unfolding of divine architecture across dimensions. Known as the architect, her human embodiment serves as a vessel for pure divine transmission. Welcome.
Wow.
Hello. Thank you for
Hi.
that. Hi,
Yes,
everybody.
yes. There's much more that is in her bio, but I did want to preface this with that we had spoken to you last time, and man, boy, did you blow us away in your transmission last time, and we're so blessed by that. So we're excited to be able to share that with our summit today as well.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful. I don't even know what we're talking about today.
Well, we'll be divinely guided.
We're just flowing here. Let me tell you some of the things that are seeming to come up as an ongoing theme throughout this show is being grounded, rooted, and rooted so deeply into the embodiment of you that the seeds in our hearts and the desires in our heart are literally our guidance, our navigation system. And and what else? And there's been other really cool things involved too, but that's kind of the gist of where we've been going through these conversations. So I guess maybe let's open it up with you introducing how you began channeling Elohim and really what are the messages and signs to help us get even more on our destiny, our purpose, and work with the ether?
Well, one of the we'll go backwards. So one of the key things is that when we're talking about working spiritually or energetically within your life, it all stems from being in alignment. And
Mm,
we want to be in alignment with our true our soul presence, why we're here, our soul purpose, and so forth. And it all comes down to frequency alignment. Whether you're out of frequency or you are in alignment with your true path. And so different things will happen within our lives because we're not in alignment. Right?
Mhm.
And then when we are in alignment, we discover and we feel ease and we discover that we're in flow. And the more that we can be in flow, then the more that we can begin to acknowledge that we're in alignment. We're doing what we're meant to do in this lifetime. And so my entire life leading up to this point, I hadn't even realized I would say it this way, but it was preparatory. I had to know everything I needed to know about the world in order to begin to accept like who it is that I am, accept my mission here within this incarnation and all of that. But I've been surrounded by angels since I was a little girl. And I don't know if I'd said that before. I remember being born,
mhm.
which was kind of interesting, but there's a whole thing. But I've been working with the angels, and at first I didn't realize that they were angels until I'd gotten into going to church and our little Bible school and stuff like that.
Sure.
And at that time, they appeared to me biblically. They don't any longer because I recognize their frequency. It's
Hmm.
ingrained within me. Um, but so they've always been around me. They've served as my teachers, my guides, my protectors. They have brought me different, more human circumstances that I could experience that. They never allowed me to get too much into trouble. They would just pull it away. Um, but I'm talking about when I was a child, there were, they had me watch the movies. It totally just went out of my head. But they had me watch like these like scary movies, and And I'm like, I don't really want to watch that. And they were like, oh no, we want you to watch it. So, and it was mostly about ghosts and possession and like, things like that. And I realized that um, a lot of those things actually had happened or I experienced within my childhood. An interesting thing. So,
Mm.
so I was like, well, why would I have to experience that? Or why would I would be sleeping and something from another dimension or whatever would come in to like attack me and I'd have to deal with this and then they would like, oh, we've gone too far. And so because and I kept thinking, I never told anyone when I was a kid, and I kept thinking everybody experiences this, like what is
Yeah.
going on? So I was afraid of the dark, but I remember I had those old lamps that had the little pull cord.
Yeah.
And I remember the one thing that really struck me like this stuff is real
Mm.
was I was fighting for my life because I felt something grab my ankle and it was pulling me down the bed.
Mm.
Uh, and so I was like fighting and I'm still being pulled down the bed. And then it was like, I'm fighting for my life. And I remember I just dove and I yanked the cord down and it stopped. Well, when the light came on, my mattress was like 3/4 off it was like, it was
Wow.
like off
The
the
bed.
frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the blankets were all strewn. And when I pulled my ankle up, there were marks
Oh boy.
on my ankle, like something that grabbed and pulled me.
Hmm.
And I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
um,
I've heard of stories like that.
yeah, but I had weird experiences,
Hmm.
kind of like that, more poltergeist-like experiences. But ever since I can remember back to being like 4 years old, I always had visitations. My bedroom
Hmm.
was full.
Yep.
Uh, and I'd be
Wow.
like with a blanket up here going, what's going on?
You're like in Monsters Inc.
Yeah. And they'd come and they'd talk to me, or a lot of times they would just come in and stare at me. It was weird, and I remember all of it.
Oh.
But when I asked, they just said it was preparatory and the different things that happened
Hmm.
in my life. So the preparatory measures that took place was that they said I needed to know what other human beings experienced, what it feels like to be in the energy of that circumstance. So that when, later in life, when it came to where I was doing, healing work, facilitating healing, and doing the work that I do, that I could recognize the frequency of that. I
Mm.
could
Hmm.
recognize what they're going through. And
Mm-hmm.
so with that comes compassion too, because I know what you feel, I know what you're experiencing, so that I can more deeply tap into the nature of that exists as energy or frequency within your field. Um, and so, finally I realized later, I was guided because I grew up in a little town at the time of Minnesota. There wasn't anything around me. I was raised religiously. So as far, it was like church and me like, in between, not
Yeah.
really understanding. I did find out even later though that the reason that I incarnated into my family was because, and we do this often because my ancestors, my bloodline was really kind of connected to all of this. There's a lot of healers and seers and all of that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I kind of came in because then I have that. That's the foundation under me, so that I can grow and blossom into the work that I'm doing. So that's really the background. I knew I spoke light language when I was a little kid, and my sister just thought it was gobbledygook and I was weird. Uh,
Yeah.
but then I realized that it was light language later in life. It kind of stopped for a time. Uh, and I've been put in these different circumstances to kind of wake up certain things that I already have, that, we already contain everything that we are, everything that we need to do, everything we have, everything. And it's really about life itself doing something happens in our life to open up and reveal our gifts or reveal this knowledge or this knowing or this remembrance of who we are so that we can then bring it forward into our life. So I had a lot of that. I remember I did a a friend guide told me she wanted me to go to this workshop. It was up in Mount Shasta. It was a healing workshop, somewhat similar to Reiki. I don't even remember what it was called, but I was like, oh, sure. And there were supposed to be 7 people. By the time we got there, and I know in my life this has happened so many times that when nobody else is there, it's all about me.
Yep.
For whatever reason, they've come to get me. I don't know. But so when we went up there, there were supposed to be 7 people total.
Mm.
And those 5 people didn't show up for various reasons. So it
Wow.
was just my friend and I, and I'm like, whoa. And I could feel like the energy in my room right now is so full. And so she said, well, I'm being guided that I'm supposed to open up your halos. I have that gift. And we're like, yeah, okay. And so I was the first on the table. She touched me and did something, and I disappeared. It was in my body. It was
Yeah.
like 25 minutes later, I feel myself doing this, and she was just shaking my foot because she couldn't bring me back. But
Wow.
where I was, I just went up into this like heavenly state. I was talking to the angels and doing all this stuff, and I was talking in light language, and frequency language. And so when I came back and she said, oh my God, I couldn't bring you back. I spoke to her and I was not speaking English.
Mhm.
8.5 hours later, I was able to speak English again.
What?
8.5 hours later. And I was freaking out thinking, oh my God, God, you don't understand. I can't go home. My husband will never understand this. I need my voice back.
Wow, I had a bar session ran once for 2 hours, and I went to a grocery store and I tried to like I tried to speak to them and say hello or something, and I was like I just had some energy work done or something came out of my mouth because I was like, "Gah, gah, gah." It's just like the first time I tried to speak after having all this energy. And I knew I was spacious and I knew I was somewhat out of my physical, yet still very in my body. But it was just like so bizarre because I just was expecting English to come out in that moment. So I can't imagine being in that for 8 hours, but wow, that was
Yeah.
fun. Wow.
Not really. No, we had to go out and eat, and I'm just like pointing to stuff, and I'm going like this because I didn't want to speak, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
my
because you didn't
friend's
know
like,
what
oh,
was
she
going
has
to
a
come out of your
challenge.
mouth.
Yeah, she has a sore throat. Yeah, no.
Wow. Wow,
But
that was a real wow, you had to really live like that.
it was weird, but that's when my full light language, that full connection,
Yeah,
uh,
neat.
came in, and I've been in more like high spiritual
Yeah.
Hmm.
situations, circumstances.
Yeah.
Uh, I was working with this monk. It was like this code of silence. We were doing this thing, and then when I was coming out of that, I could only speak light language. And
Hmm.
that was a couple hours.
When
Uh,
you have that experience, can you so many times whenever you're like if I speak Spanish and like if I'm really really using it, sometimes I'll dream in Spanish and sometimes the words will come in Spanish before they'll come in English. Were you seeing the like what you were trying to say like the computer? Were you seeing that as light language and not English, or could
no,
you
I
still
was
see
seeing it
the?
like in my head. What I wanted to say was in English,
Okay, okay.
but it wouldn't. It came out of my mouth
Oh, how funny.
in light language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it so
So
it's
it's
interesting.
definitely,
Yeah.
Like,
yes, it
what
kept so much.
drugs is she
You're
on?
right.
How many drugs did she do before she came to dinner with us?
But that's basically how it kind of came in, and that true connection, that deeper connection was made. And I would just get things dropped in my head. This is who
Hmm.
you are. This is what you are. This is what you're
Yeah.
here to do. Do all of that. And so it's really, literally, maybe within the last 6 months or so, that because Archangel Michael came and said, "All right, you're hard
Yeah.
headed." So
And we're doing this.
Yep, I
we're
had
doing
him
this.
say
So
that to me too.
Yep.
yeah, so
He
he was
talks like
like,
that.
he
Yes,
does.
he does. Yeah.
He was like, you have to surrender and come into true understanding and belief, whatever, that you're a seraphim, right?
Hmm.
Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to fulfill your mission. Your true
Yeah.
powers will not come forward. And I
Mm.
was like, all right. So
You're
so
like,
I
this is scary, but all right, let's do it anyway.
yeah, but and then it made me tell people that, and I didn't really want to tell people that, and
Yeah.
it was on my website and all this stuff, and then recently though they said, all right, it's all integrated, and now we want you to pull back.
Oh,
So I don't really
interesting.
tell people that. I removed it from my website and
Hmm.
all of that because it's who I am.
Yeah.
It's what is embodied within me. It doesn't matter. None of that matters.
Yeah.
It matters on how I bring my gifts forward and then what it is that you receive.
Yeah.
Right?
It does kind of sound too significant for we had another channel on that spoke Mary with channel Mary Magdalene, and it was just like, she's like, sometimes I feel like it's just so significant in people's minds that, I sometimes am like, yeah, I channel this light. I don't
Mhm.
actually say it. And I thought that was interesting.
We do have a question from the chat.
Yeah.
Irene says, how can someone differentiate from them? One is a false god. I imagine she's trying to, because the question was the Elohim. Here's her other question. Here it was. She says, was it the Elohim or Elohe? Elohei. And then she said, how can someone differentiate those two? One is a false god.
Well, I
Oh,
know. Okay.
interesting.
So
I had
the
never heard
truth.
that, so, but
No, I'm just thinking. um, okay. This is what I will tell you. Many people have a false impression of what Elohim is.
uh-huh.
And years ago, biblically speaking, Elohim is actually plural. And then things changed and it became this is God. But Elohim is not God. Elohim is a collective. So
Mm.
early on, Elohim was known as creator gods. And in
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
actuality, Elohim is creator God. So Elohim is plural. So when I speak of Elohim and of being seraphim within Elohim, the angelic realms is within Elohim. So Elohim is actually a collective of the beings that were created by the eternal omnipresence to do its will. Let's put it that way.
I
Okay.
gotcha.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool.
So if you think of it kind of as an umbrella, so in that sense, that's where the term creator gods came from,
Mm.
because through the thought forms process from the eternal omnipresence to Elohim, it's like Elohim are minions.
Yeah.
And so they're the ones doing a lot of the creating of worlds and a lot of the everything that's going on. So it's kind of the worker bees for God.
Mm.
And so when people speak, later on, like Elohim became incorrectly a term for the single omnipresent God. And that's not
Okay.
true because in language wise, Elohim is actually plural. Elohim means several, many, what have you. So that's where I am coming from.
Gotcha.
And as seraphim, then we're closest to God. So we're in what's called the throne, and it's not like a throne room where God sits or anything. Right? It's actually it's an energy construct that's called
Mhm.
the throne, and
Mm.
everything's an energy construct within which those
Yeah,
beings
it's sort of that was so
exist.
weird when you said it. I got this visualization of like sacred geometry,
Oh,
kind of
very, yeah.
coming down. Though
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, so when I was thinking about it, because I had to make this big switcheroo from my whole religious aspect. I got kicked out of Sunday school because I had an inner knowing I was born with. And
Yeah.
I would
Oops.
say, well, I don't believe that, or that's
Yeah,
not
doesn't
true.
feel
Or
like.
I would question
You
them.
sure
And
about
then yeah, they went and talked
that?
to my parents and said that I was disruptive and I didn't belong in Sunday school because I asked too many questions. And so then I started to go to big people church. But anyway, so I thought that was funny. um, but I knew something different. But people are trying to cram information down your throat, or you're reading the Bible or what have you, and all of this. But I'm like, that part of it's not true. Now, when we look at the Bible mythologically, myth is always has an underpinning of truth. So there is truth. in the Bible. There's
Yes.
truth in all of the
Yeah.
biblical teachings and the books and the Torah and everything else. But then a lot of it has been changed or altered by man for specific purposes. A lot of it has been left out, so the story is incomplete, right? And a lot of it has just been changed or restructured to match the belief systems of the time that somebody wanted you to believe, and all
Yeah.
of that. So I had to read the Bible from front cover to back cover twice. And that was Archangel Michael again, because you need to read the Bible. I was like, I really don't want to read the Bible. So I read the Bible. We got to that begat part. I skipped over that. But so I read it. I slogged through it. But I would get to certain parts, and they said, we want you to understand what this means.
Hmm.
It's, for instance, like the seven keys of Solomon are referring to the seven main energy centers, chakras. So
Yeah.
I was looking at it from that higher, more spiritual perspective
I love it.
To understand. So yeah, and so after that, I just, my mission came down, and I was doing different things so that I could basically bring myself into alignment, frequency alignment, and to really embody that truth over time. Right? Because they don't just do it, bam, there you go. Uh, because you could blow a fuse. Literally, yeah. Because we are, electrical. We're electrical beings. We have an electrical nature. And so when we receive all of this light, this information, we have to integrate it. You can't just receive it all at once, because we are recalibrating our nervous system. So I have had points where in channeling and doing all this, I'm like, whoa, I've gotten so much energy that I start to vibrate and my hands go into
Oh
tetany.
boy.
Like, and so and they'll just sit there, they don't care, they're just there, breathe.
Wow. I just
I'm like,
got something when you said that.
I'm trying
Like,
to breathe.
no, I mean, it's not like that's why it takes us a long time, little bit of time on this journey because we have to keep integrating. Like, we'll have new speakers, and then we need to integrate some of the codes that we got from those, and then you go on, and that's why it's like constantly you've got to be the seeker in this journey because you can't integrate it. But it's funny, I was channeling and I got something like that. They're like, you can't, you're not ready yet. And I was like, no, I'm ready.
You're ready
And they were
here.
trying to explain things, and I just got it now when you said you have to integrate this with the nervous system, and it took like, oh my gosh, that's huge.
One of the
Huge.
things that
Well,
I've heard
yeah.
Yeah.
in QHHT in the information that had come from source or from someone's higher source, self-connected source, they were saying basically that we are already, as infinite beings, all there is, right? We already have all of this, but that when we come to Earth, to put all of that energy into this body, if we were to come with all of our energy, we would shock our bodies out. In other words, we would probably blow the fuse, like you, to use your
Yeah.
terminology,
Mhm.
if we were to just come straight in with everything that we are. And so as we bring down these codes, my guess is that we are now working with because I know when my nervous system is all funky, like the other night, I had to sit there and be like really breathe into my
Yeah.
nervous system because I was integrating information that I was probably receiving from our last time together, but
Right.
now that I think about it, because it was a lot for me, but it's beautiful. But however, what do you tell people who are not familiar with what's going on with their nervous system? What are some of the ways that we can integrate maybe faster or in a loving way?
Yeah, integrate like as embodiment of some of these frequencies, because that's what I feel like my actual work is about, is working with bodies to facilitate bodies on this awakening, this ascension.
Well,
Tell us more.
one of the things so think about it this way. If you in this present day and age move into a 1940s house and you start plugging in your iPhone and your iPad and your televisions and your computers and all of that, and the home hasn't been upgraded, you blow the fuse. And that's
Hmm.
literally what you have to put in a new system, right? So that it can handle all of that new technology. And so that is exact, and then we'll call it new technology.
I like
Yeah,
It's
it
light
is.
technology.
it is.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
uh, you have to take the time to like integrate information to be able to regulate your nervous system so that you can begin to take on more.
Mm.
One of the key things about taking on more is you don't want to take on more until you release what is not in alignment with what you've already taken on. So
Mhm.
we receive, and then what happens is the angels they call it like a holy sepulcher. So from here you have a cup, like the cup of the goblet, and then the body is the stem and the feet are the base, right?
Mhm.
And so as light comes down into the goblet through the crown, there's a pressurization because it narrows. So there's a pressurization that is basically saying everything that's not in alignment with what it is that you're receiving, these codes you need to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
Mhm.
when emotions and all of that start to bubble up to the surface, and you're like, oh my God, why am I crying? Or why am I, whatever. Or why am I having that remembrance? It's because that is
Mm-hmm.
not in alignment with who it is that you are becoming and self realization, right? And your true nature of being. So you have to take time to empty the cup before you can continue to fill it as well. I've had, and right now they want me to say, Sunday, and I experienced this too, on Sunday, the higher realms have kind of given up on doing the downloads, because individual downloads, because we have not made the mark as a human species. Uh, and so what they're doing now is they're blasting us. We are
Mm.
literally being blasted with energies right now.
Is that like
It's
the solar flares and stuff?
within that too as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so it started actually early Sunday morning. And I woke up and I had this day. I just went online. There was something that happened. I literally was sitting here going, what is going on? And then they told me after the fact, because I thought I'd had an ischemic event and called the hospital or something. I didn't say that, but I was sitting there with something wrong. And they're like, oh no, you're fine. And I'm thinking, I do not feel fine. It was like this, my head just went, and I swear to God, my brain moved. That's the way it
Mm.
felt like. It just something sloshed in my head.
Wow.
And then it was like this bright expansion of light, and I was dizzy. And then I just stood up, going, and my eyes went all wonky. And they're like, breathe, you're fine.
Hmm.
And so now I'm open. There was something that was
Yeah.
triggered, and my halo was activated. Uh, but I mean, things like that. So I was thinking, well, what happens to people that really are just starting on their path and they don't
Yeah.
recognize all of this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They said they're going to be very uncomfortable.
It's just the reason why I give my report all the time
Yeah.
about blasting of light and solar
And to give
flares.
grace.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
remind everyone to, give
Yeah.
ourselves
And
grace.
so you asked the question after explaining all of that is that we have to keep breathing, because when we breathe, we're creating space and we're creating movement. We're allowing things to move, and movement, even if it's just
Hmm.
walking, doing yoga, and just doing workout, you're shifting and moving energies through your system. You're creating an opening or a pathway. You're opening up pathways.
Hmm.
And then rest, getting like 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night, because that's when you begin to integrate everything and you begin to flush things from your system.
Yeah.
So breathing, movement, and sleep. And of course, you've got and water. They're reminding me of water. Drinking. The more hydrated you are, the more easeful that the energies will move through your fascial system.
Hmm.
The collagen
Wow, we've
is
had a lot
very.
of water talk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I was like, you get bonus points if you bless your water
Yeah.
before you drink it.
Yeah.
So yeah, drinking water, And just recognizing when these things happen, it's like, okay, I need some time. I need some time to work with this. I've had a past client, and I just energetically track him, and another woman that I'd worked with, when we were talking about you blow a fuse, they blew a fuse.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's not a pretty sight. And I just want to say it happens.
Yeah.
That the energy rises, the kundalini and all of that, and they blow a fuse.
Hmm.
Or it can happen when, in the case of my friend client, um, he was just indiscriminately receiving all of these energies and doing this work. He got caught up in kind of the high of it and
Yeah.
the awe. So it went more into ego. And I knew it was happening. I was like, should I connect
Yeah.
with him? And they're like, no.
Mm.
So yeah, he ended up in like a mental institution for several weeks and still is trying to get stuff back. And that can happen. You know,
Hmm.
people hear that and they're like, eh. But I want to say that can happen. Not that it'll happen to anyone here, but it just really begs the importance of recognition and honoring, having compassion for self, but also honoring
Hmm.
what is occurring for you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That there's a
absolutely.
spiritual unfoldment, there's a transformation taking place, there's a process of healing that is happening. We are our own best healers internally.
Hmm.
When
Yeah,
we
we
can
say that all the
honor
time.
ourselves and we can honor the fact that we have those gifts and we have that ability, if we can
Yeah.
go within and sit with that, then things will flow a lot easier.
What do you
But
say to the
people are
people that
impatient.
doubt that they have that gift? They're like, "Well, that's good for you, Phyllis and Leonka and Jenna. Like that's good for you." But what do you tell the people who don't believe that they can, or they're trying to force that they can, or they're trying to prove that they can, like all that separators, to get to actually being that I am this.
And just so y'all are, for the time, I also want to give the audience a chance to experience your work
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
So I think we're right up against
You
that.
guys want to queue up some questions too?
Okay. Archangel Michael again came forward. It was like last week because I'm always asking, what am I doing now? He said, you are here to, it was you're here to prove biblical truth.
Oh yeah, I remember
Hmm.
you saying that.
I'm like, okay, that's a big assignment. So when they're speaking of biblical truth, it's not about saying, I don't believe that, I don't believe that's true. When you can actually believe, accept, and acknowledge that you are the spark or individuation of God within a physical form, existence, here to experience a life, when you can understand everything else, it opens, it reveals that within you, and none of that other stuff that you didn't believe in or question matters.
Hmm.
It's really about accepting that truth and being open to surrendering and allowing that to be revealed from within you. And, I'm always reminded of Jesus was always saying that you're just like me. You have the
Yes.
same abilities that I have, and we do. That that
Hmm.
was that was a biblical truth. But there's so many different belief systems and patterns and so forth that people go through, and like the old paradigm, that's not their understanding, that's not what they were taught. And so for me, it's really about bringing that truth forward for everyone. One,
Well,
through who I am, through my own light, through how I choose to live my life, right?
hmm.
And what I choose to share with people, how I choose to walk
Yeah.
and illuminate the path forward for others. But also my work is about beginning to illuminate that true path within you as well.
Hmm.
Did that answer that
Yeah,
question?
I'm just kind of like floating in that right now, right? Yeah.
Well, would it be possible to move into experiencing a little bit of your work, and then maybe if we have time to take a couple questions from the
Oh
audience?
yeah. Yes, let's go ahead and do that.
Because we could sit here and talk with you all day.
I know.
I mean, really, it's
But
fascinating.
it's such a cool experience that I want everyone on the call to really experience an activation by you.
All right.
Yeah, it's very blessing.
Can you hear that? Good. So I would ask then that everyone just sit back and relax and close your eyes and receive. Today I invite you to hold a vision so clear and so deeply felt that your cells begin to believe it's already true. Speak it, sing it, feel it in your bones, and know that it is true.
Sore
Thank you to the blue whales. Sandra Deshikira Betutur, Ikishukutundris Pia Atukutundre, Basare Kepo, Basare Kepo, Putris Payanda, Are Kunda, Shindere Biskun. We're complete.
I'd love to hear on the chat what you guys are experiencing, how you're feeling, how you've shifted. I loved how you started that. And it really set me up to, I really heard your first question, and it really set me up to kind of receive a bunch of gifts throughout that. Because you said, how can you hold a vision so much that you can be it and already have it, or something to the tune of that? And then it was almost like at the beginning, my life was flashing before my eyes. Like it showed me, like, look at where you were when you started your business, when you tried to do like a 5-minute opt-in video and you'd have to like just go discard it and then get mad at the camera and then get angry at the lighting and, and all the things. And it would take me like 8 hours to do like a small, like 1-minute opt-in video. And I just thought that was so weird that that came and unveiled itself to me in a way that then I just started overflowing with gratitude for the journey in front of me. And I just like, I don't know, it's like sometimes a frequency hits you and you're like, where did that come from? And I love that unfolding of this. That was so beautiful, the light language. And then I like feel almost like I can hear the words, but they're not English words. And it's just like, what? Like I feel like this is like a church hymn book, but there's no hymn.
Well, my
So
work is
cool.
basically to design, construct, and orchestrate the foundational patterns of existence. I mean,
Yep.
not in theory, but in the fact that we are living architecture. It's a living architecture of your being. And so then through frequency, sound and frequency and energy, I can manipulate that. I can shift that. I'm bringing you into alignment with your soul blueprint or your holy template because we have a construct, an architectural construct that exists that is our soul blueprint. And I have those ingrained in me. I have all the blueprints. And
Hmm.
so when I'm
Well, I
looking,
feel like I need to ask more about that, but you can
Mhm.
continue first.
Yeah, so as I am looking at your field, I get a whole holographic matrix perspective. And
Uh-huh.
it's like people have a story, and the story's not, I listen, but the story's not important to the work that I do. It's a frequency that is within your system that is distorted, or it's out of balance, or it's misaligned. So then I can go into that architectural construct and I can make the frequency shifts. And that then is bringing you closer to your soul blueprint, but it's also when I shift the frequency and bring you into alignment, that's what starts to change. That's when you heal, or that's when something's transformed in your life. That creates change because your frequency has
Yes.
changed. Right.
Right. Wow. So when you see people holographically and you see kind of the disruption, I feel like this is almost just going into what a session is like with you. But as you do that and you sense that, then you use sound voice to then shift that frequency, like in each of these various places. Can you just talk more about this? Because I don't know what I'm saying.
Um, You're pretty close though.
I
That
really,
sounds like I was right
I'm,
there with you.
I
So
know, like, I really want to get this. I want to do this too.
Well, it's like I work through Elohim with what we call the eternal omnipresence,
Okay.
God. Okay. So I'm tapping that energy is coming through because that's what's most in alignment with you, and that's how I can see all this stuff. So if you've ever, I don't know how many, have you seen the movie Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes.
And he's like, and then there's this whole schematic that
Yes,
comes
yes,
up.
yes.
I wish I could do that, like
I
visually,
know,
but
right?
but
Seems like
so
somewhere in the
basically,
field it could exist.
in the aethers it does. That's what I see. So that's what I see pretty
Hmm.
much. I see like a matrix. I see it's like a grid, your grid system. There's a lot of sacred geometric stuff in there. There's a lot of different energetic forces that are coming into different points. There's um I see a lot of the sacred geometry. So I can see all that, and then, but that can be overwhelming. But what Elohim will then do is to guide my focus to the area of that construct, that infrastructure or that architecture, to do what I need to do to switch something. Right. And so when I'm doing like the what's called the radiant light holographic healing, or my other session that's very similar, because my other session I look at the past, present, and future because it's all there. Right. So it's not really the Akasha, but I'm also looking, it's like your DNA itself is a biological script. So
Yeah.
it's like a living library of your infinite potential. Right.
Hmm.
And so I can see that. I can see your path. So they guide me to where there's a distortion or a
Yeah. A
misalignment,
block or
and then I
something.
switch it. Yeah. And so I use my voice, I use a frequency, and I literally manually through the aethers manipulate things as well.
Uh-huh.
So like I think I was doing a little bit while I was just singing, but
Yeah.
I'll be singing and I'll be doing
It
stuff.
feels like that. It's funny. I did this. I was at a course and he's like, just go outside your body and ask that one molecule that needs to be turned or changed or energy frequency and just go and change it. And it took me years to actually get, okay, I can do that now. And I feel like this is like you doing just a whole lot more than just that one little, yeah.
Well, when you think of
Wow. Of course that would, I just see this is so exciting to me
well, when you
sometimes.
think of dis-ease in the body, it happens in the energetic first. So
Hmm.
if you have someone that can see the energetic
Oh,
template
yeah.
Yeah.
and go,
Yes.
oh, first, then you can do healing work within there and transform something so that it never comes into the physical realm.
Uh-huh. And
But
what
the
about
ex
something that already is physically manifested and maybe it started when they were 6 years old,
you can
right?
still clear it, and you can clear it in the energetic, and then I go into your construct. So think about
Uh-huh.
you're like a high-rise building, right? I
Uh-huh.
might have to go in and change some bricks or something. I don't know what you're.
Yeah.
That was a bad
Destroy
analogy.
this one window and remake it.
Replace a window, yeah. But it's kind of like it's that because if it's already manifested physically, then you have to take care of physical manifestation and energetic manifestation because it's still
Uh-huh.
tethered, it's still tied to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
energetic.
yeah.
But the thing is, there's a simplicity to the power that we have. When we begin to
Mm.
recognize who we are, we're very powerful because just like Jesus, we can create. We are here, we're responsible for creating our own lives. Many people don't take that responsibility. They allow other people to create their lives for them, right? But we're here to create our lives. And if someone else has created your life for you, then there's a whole thing that you've got to release the ties and the bonds to all of that and the old beliefs and so forth. So it's really there's a simplicity to just being I allow you to do the work because it's gonna come through, but I can go in and like tweak a frequency or tweak the architecture of your construct, and then I leave it alone. I just put it where they say it needs to be. And then your life will unfold, your life will change. Right.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so I had a client that all had this stuff going on, and I thought, never, I didn't hear from her. I thought, oh well, I
Oh,
sent it, and
yeah.
Yeah.
that one I was telling you about, and then she
Yes.
came back and was just like, oh my God, telling me
Yeah.
how, and I was like, as one who facilitates healing, it's so lovely to hear that sometimes because you're like, I'm just doing my thing. And you're
Yeah.
kind of wondering, and in my knowledge, I'm like, okay, that's what needs to
Yeah.
be done. But you could also leave and you can go back. I'm not responsible for your life. So you could go back
Into
and
the
then all of a
reference
sudden
points.
you could go
Yeah.
back into the reference points. Yeah.
Yeah.
What one of the images that Spirit gave me was I was doing a meditation with Jonathan. We had really removed all of this, and all of a sudden it was like Spirit said, "But yes, but." What humanity tends to do is that we get our shopping cart and we go because we feel so like unfamiliar. We're so raw when we release all of that, when we, it's unfamiliar, that we'll literally go shopping back for all of our things. We have a tendency to want to put them back into our shopping cart because it's what we're familiar with. So those could
Yeah.
look like old programs. And so we'll go seeking those out and we're literally shopping for them, right? Like, is that there? Is that there? Is that there? Is that still there? Rather than just
Yep.
believing or knowing, like you said, knowing in your bones. And that's one of the phrases we always use is with, and you started the question with, I want you to get it in your bones, the vision. And I was like, oh yeah, I like that. To
Well,
know that we're in
that's
this new realm.
that's humanity's greatest fear, usually is unfamiliarity and what's unknown.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest reason that a lot of people don't change, even if they're caught in a horrific
Yeah.
circumstance. They're like, but this is where I'm familiar. I know what this
Yeah.
is. Because our whole evolutionary process of awakening and so forth and all that we're supposed to be doing can be scary because it's taking you out of your comfort zone. But change, transformation cannot come without discomfort because you're leaving what was comfortable to begin altering your beliefs and to begin to bring in truth.
Yeah.
And so if we can see, if you find another truth, and I've had people do this, they're like, oh, wait a second. Now I believe that to be true, and what I was taught before, that's not correct, right? But a lot of people then will want to go back to that old truth because that was comfortable. It worked for them.
Familiar.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah. They knew
familiar.
who they were there. They had their own identity, all that good stuff.
It reminds me of a
Home.
relationship that I used to be in that I knew was no bueno for me. And
No
because
bueno.
it felt so funky to not be with that person, I wanted to go back to because it hurt so much, right? It was unfamiliar. And I knew like, and I'd be like, this is it. This is the last time we're not getting back together, blah, 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 right?
Never, ever,
Yeah.
ever.
And it's like, hey babe. I'm like, oh, right? Like, like all the feelings pushing, like, and you're like, and then next thing you know, it's just repeating that pattern of, codependence, whatnot. But even though I knew that I was doing that cognitively, but I felt so raw and so unfamiliar that I wanted to make myself feel better again, quickly.
I've never been able to experience that type of, you know, when something when something in my life was out of alignment,
Yeah.
it was like forcefully taken away. Like I would get reminders, I would get acknowledgement, like, well, you're in the wrong spot. This is not the person for you. This is not the right circumstance. All of this. And if I stayed in that, life sucked after that. Life got worse and worse until finally it was just like pulled, or there'd be some disruptive force that I like, okay, I'm in a new space. And that has happened since I was a little girl because life is about experience. We're here to experience life, not to allow life to define us. And I think I said that the last call. We are undefinable because we are God existing within this physical form in order to experience this life, right?
Yeah.
But we're not supposed to identify ourselves by the experiences. First experience is birth, and then it's experience after experience after experience until we experience our transition from this physical flesh. But we're not, I think I wasn't sure if I was saying this to you, but say just one thing, like I'm a mother. Okay, right? I have a daughter, I'm a mother. But I don't identify with that. I experience it.
Yes, you were saying that. You were saying that.
Yeah, it's not like the only thing you do.
Right, because then it leaves us open to new experiences
Yeah.
because we've written down and reconstructed the code when we identify with something.
Mhm.
Ah,
Oh, wow.
don't
But if we're just
solidify that.
experiencing it, we can thusly evolve.
I like that.
Yeah.
Just like we have an experience sometimes with not a so my I guess PSA could be we can experience maybe a disease, but we don't have to identify this is my disease, this is who I am with this disease. And I think that's one of the clear delineations that sometimes we fall fallacy to, I think, and myself included, right? Like I'll be
Well,
like, I have this COVID right now, right? Like,
Mhm.
we contract. Choose it.
Yeah.
We actually receive diseases and things sometimes because within our timeline of our ancestors and so forth, we've been chosen to transmute it. And when
Interesting.
when I had colon cancer, I'm like, what the heck?
right?
You're like, I
I didn't
don't
know.
like not
There
this
was
isn't
like
my
a
purpose.
well, I had to like transmute DNA because it's a genetic component, and they're like,
Mm.
"Yeah, you
Gotcha.
had to go through that. I had to have surgery. I'm missing a third of my colon. I had to go through all this stuff over COVID."
Oh boy.
And I kept saying, "Well, can I heal that? Heal it?" Because they told me. I mean, they told me, "Yeah, you have cancer." Right when we were there, they're like, "No, you have cancer." But they told me prior, and they orchestrated. Everything was divinely orchestrated. They chose the gastroenterologist. They chose all of this.
Wow.
And they said it would take it could take up to 4 to 6 weeks to get everything in alignment. And within 2 weeks, I was in surgery. They
Hmm.
they did all of that, and I was like, "Well, can I heal this?" And they're like, "Yes, but you've run out of time because if I
Hmm.
tried to do any type of healing work, then it would have like gone outside the colon and all
I
this stuff.
gotcha.
Uh-huh.
I totally gotcha.
Wow.
Right.
And I was sitting there like, why? You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you
but I
should.
realized there was a whole ancestral thing that came forward. The
Hmm.
ancestors come forward, my mother. I mean, it was like this whole thing, and they're like, this will never happen again. Even though I'm predisposed, right?
Yeah.
Even though you have a gene, it doesn't mean the gene itself has to express, right?
Sure.
But I had to I had to go through a whole process of transmutation and dealing with all of this. The ancestors came in. I mean, it was like this whole thing because this was a genetic sequence that runs through my mother's line, right?
Hmm.
And so then I was the one to stop that in its
Yeah.
tracks. So a lot of people, when we talk about wounded healers, they don't. There's no such thing as wounding. It's experience.
I love that.
I am an
Hmm.
experienced healer. I've had a lot of shit in my past. Right? I am so experienced, right? But I'm not wounded from that
Hmm.
experience, right? I'm
Love
whole,
it.
healthy, complete. I am here.
Yeah.
And so
That's
we
powerful.
we come in with these things, and it's kind of like our gifts are the things that we've been given that would most be beneficial to heal ourselves first and to be able to expand upon and develop to be able to work with others.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely. And this is a
So
powerful message. I think this that's specifically about you dealing with colon cancer. Thank you for sharing that because I feel like so many healers are like they almost won't get diagnosed or they don't want to go to doctors or they think, well, I can do it on my own. And I think that it's really important for us to just follow the dots and follow them in a way where you're vulnerable enough to not come to the conclusion of, I can do it on my own, screw what everyone else says, or I wish I never heard that. Like my daughter, when she went for her annual, they said she could get a genetic test for cancer. And I looked at her and I said, well, first of all, you're really young to even do a test like that. But you really got to come to the terms like, if I know this information, could it possibly change my path? And you might create that and activate that gene versus just taking the precautionary measures anyway. What are your thoughts on that?
too much knowledge is not a good thing necessarily,
Right?
right?
That's kind of how I
Um,
felt.
if we do that when we're talking about genetic patterns and stuff, you have a gene doesn't mean okay. So if So I know I have this gene that can cause colon cancer or whatever. So what that did, yes, I had colon cancer, but what that did was it allowed me to change my life and make sure that my body's receiving certain things and I'm getting rest. You know, I'm doing
Sure.
the things that I need to do so that take care of my colon, basically.
Hmm.
So it can be a beneficial thing, but sometimes people just hear something and they
Yeah.
worry about it and they
Yeah.
create it weaves energetically into their architecture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. They can't just say, oh, okay, that's a good thing to know, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to start taking
Yeah.
supplements. I'm going to start exercising or whatever to counteract that. It hasn't happened yet. But
Yeah.
when we know something, it's just like telling us, okay, this is a possibility. So what are you going to do to counteract that?
Hmm.
If you're in that mindset, that's perfect. Because you have people, your parents may have died of heart attacks at the age of 40 and all this stuff may have occurred. And then you're like, well, at
Yeah.
40, you go, punk, right?
Right, because you're
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah,
like, what
yeah,
are you going to do? So what are you going to do to change that?
Yeah.
That pattern, right? And it's really about changing the patterns and not like worrying about it,
Hmm.
right? That doesn't help with any. There's one statement, all right, that Archangel Michael just wants me to say. I was told I needed a knee replacement. I tried forever to like work out the not to have a knee replacement. So finally, yeah, I can't walk, right? So I was like, I don't want a knee replacement. And I had said, oh, I'm going to have a knee replacement. I posted it on my Facebook page and, I'm exercising and stuff. And then someone had the nerve to say, I said, someone posted, well, if you want to go through the pain and stuff of surgery, then that's fine. It's up to you. But I'm seeing that there's just some things that need to be cleared from your knee.
And you're just like, well, then clear them because obviously I've been trying to do this for many, many years.
And I was like, I can look at the
yeah.
construct of my knee and say, oh,
You're like,
And
just my gut.
that brings me back to one of the things that you said that I thought was so important. Not important, but maybe like maybe that others really need to hear. You said, I tuned into this and I asked. And so
Mhm.
here's what I'm pointing out, like this is a learning moment.
Yeah.
You were asking, you were listening, and then you followed the guidance up. Right. So instead of saying, I can heal this on my own, you heard your spirit guide say that it was going to fall without pull you out. Yes, you can, but it's going to pull you outside of that timeline. So immediately you were using your tools. And I'm just pointing this out for people because,
Yeah.
you are willing to know when you needed to hear Western medicine, needed to hear your guides, and then needed to take the advice of your guides with your free will, right? Like you still have free will. You could have chose something different to try to heal
Yeah.
it, but they made it to where they're like, okay, well, here's the container that you're in, and it'll be nice in this way. It'll look like this, but you may pull yourself out if you
Yeah.
went this way. And
Well,
I think many times people forget to do those things and we try to go it alone without asking our guidance, without really seeking ourselves, without really listening to what our guidance is even saying.
Or we get stubborn. We're like,
Yeah.
I can do it.
yeah. And Archangel Michael's like, finish what you're saying. So the thing about the knee, the thing you wanted to add was
Mm.
what happened was I was like, well, I'd been doing energetic work and I could get rid of inflammation and stuff, but the knee joint was failing, right? So what I was told was, they said, consider this. Don't you understand that the ability that these surgeons have to replace a knee joint is not divine intervention, is not from the divine, right? Divinely given. And I had to think about that for a while. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get that.
Yeah. Well, that
Because at
is a
some point,
true statement.
someone at some point had a divine inspiration that, ooh, this is something we could do, learn how to do, whatever.
Yeah.
And when I thought about it that way, I was like, well, why do I have to sit here and suffer? Because I know my knee's destroyed.
Yeah.
I'll get a knee replacement. Right?
Yeah.
So I went ahead and got it because of that statement. So we have to understand there are many things that we can heal, there are many things that we can do, but there's also medicine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
there's
much of it's
nothing wrong
very
with
good. There's
it.
nothing
I think
wrong
that
with it,
that's
right?
the problem. I do think that people who overly medicate in Western drugs, taking antibiotics on a regular basis, taking Advil, doing these things
Excessive.
to almost to maybe, take the pain out of life. I
Mhm.
really think that those type of meds and those on a regular basis might possibly alter our divine intervention, or I guess our
Well, yeah.
divine, our way to connect. It might, mess with our pineal gland and literally shut things down and calcify things to keep us more 3D.
There's
But
a place
that's
for
all I have to
both.
say. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
there's a
place
place
for
for both.
both.
I would lean more towards supplemental,
Yeah.
natural
Yeah, yeah.
medicines,
Yeah.
and that's what I do. That's my choice. Do I take like acetaminophen occasionally? Well, sure, if I have a blasted headache or whatever, yeah,
Yeah, if
I'll
you
do that.
can't like go
Uh,
on with your life,
but
you
yeah,
might want
I
to
do
take a
homeopathic and
Tylenol.
all of that. But I'm speaking of just saying that yes, there are medical interventions have a place for
Yes.
people like
Absolutely.
that.
And
Yes. I'm so
those,
glad you talked
I
about that.
mean, I remember my father, who was in the ministry, always saying, whenever somebody goes in the surgery, please bless those hands
Yeah.
that are
Mhm.
working
They're
in
great. Yeah.
inside your
Yeah.
body. These and those doctors have been guided down that path. They are following what their purpose is here on planet Earth. It's not that they are evil, which I feel like sometimes in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah. I hear you.
awakened spiritual
Yeah.
community, they make them evil
Uh-huh.
and they make them big farm. But I mean, one of my favorite cousins that follows all the whispers and the signs is a surgeon. So, I think the individual doctors on their own, a lot of them, are just people following a path. So, and I feel like it just gets such a bad rap sometimes here in this
Yeah,
community.
Well, I love that
yeah.
you
Yeah.
both are speaking on it. And my biggest takeaways was ask questions of your
Yes.
guides, listen, take information in and be willing to take the guidance, to accept your
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah.
Even if that means bridging, having a surgery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, this has been a fun tangent, but would anybody like to know how to work with Phyllis?
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and bring up her package and she can
I know we
talk
could
about
probably
it
cook with you all.
all day
Yeah.
long. I mean, we could have just had a whole summit with Phyllis.
I can talk. I love to share. So
Maybe someday you can be a speaker at our
hopefully I
live
didn't talk too
event.
much.
No, you're great.
Yeah, it's great.
So tell us a little bit of where we brought this up, and then tell us a little bit about the healing session, the radiant light healing session.
So the radiant light holographic healing session is kind of what I was speaking about before. That you come in, I let you talk a little bit about your story. I ask you why are you here, basically, and you can explain a little bit about your story, and then I go into the holographic healing, and so it's a radiant light of the eternal omnipresence, God, that flows through, and then it's the same thing. I see your architecture, and I'm working on your architecture, to alter anything that needs to be changed. And those alterations that are made are in alignment with your story, right? And the circumstance, your belief system. So it's all in alignment with that. And it's kind of, I'll come back and I'll say, I was working on this because sometimes we don't know. It's like I have a headache, right? But that headache isn't necessarily in the head. It can be caused from something else, right? And so we may be approaching first the something else and working on a different area of the body. And typically when I come back and say, well, we did most of our work here, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like explaining something because they're so caught up in one physical thing. So basically it's going in and changing your frequency and aligning you with your soul's blueprint, your holy template. And so then you listen to it 3 times after the session as well for a period of integration. And that allows it to unfold within you. It allows you to integrate the healing processes, and it allows you to be open and allowing of the shifts that are taking place because of that.
Wow.
And there is a to-pay option. So if you are feeling really called to do this, go ahead and take a look at the package and decide if that's something that you would like to do. It's a very, very valuable offering that Phyllis has put together here for our audience. So thank you so, so much.
The comments in the chat are so
I know.
beautiful. My
I know. Every
gosh.
time.
Yeah.
Speechless. You should get a Grammy for the voice, depth, range, and modulation. You are blessed highly.
Yeah.
Just
Thank
spoke
you.
to my soul. My seraphic light language came through, and I've had it only come through like 2 times or so. I'm complete awe. I'm in complete awe. Wow, that was amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So beautiful. That was beautiful. So powerful. I've been to cry. Thank you so very much. I love and sent the blue whales before she thanked them. How cool is that? Love the experience. Went back to childhood, and now I'm feeling the sensation of having wings. I love that so
Wow.
much.
Oh, Renee.
Oh my gosh, I could keep reading these forever. But thank you for your time
Wow.
today. Any parting words for us?
Oh yeah, Archangel Michael's here again.
Yeah, great.
We have parting words. Because he's feeling it within people and the participants, and even on into the future. A lot of people that are expanding spiritually and they're going through their own self-healing and they're progressing through what many call the dark night of the soul, and they're just really discovering who it is that they are. You are whole, healthy, and complete. And don't ever allow someone to tell you that what it is that you are experiencing within your life and how you choose to deal with those experiences is diminishing. There are people that will try to diminish you for those types of things. We are here in this physical form to live a human experience. So you cannot have a healer who has not had, I would not go to a healer who has not had life experience, right? And so a lot of people have told me when they come in for a session, I can't be a healer because I'm still dealing with all of this stuff. And I was like, that makes you the best, one of the best healers in existence, because you are dealing with these things and you are crossing that bridge from A to B. And once you get to the other side, you are able to help other people because you can acknowledge what it is they're experiencing with compassion, and you can share how you chose and how you yourself got out of that experience, right? How you rectified that. So don't allow people to diminish you and your existence for being who it is you desire to be. And just go do that and live your authentic life. Be authentic. Do not fear allowing people to know who it is that you are. And do not allow people to stop you from doing what it is that you know you're here to do.
Wow.
Because you're beautiful and you're loved.
Wow.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
My gosh.
And
I
thank
feel
you,
love.
Archangel Michael, as well, for such kind messages.
Yeah.
Phyllis, we could talk to you all day, but we will bid you adieu so you can go and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Just a couple more announcements. We will be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, so we get started with another 3 amazing speakers.
Yeah,
And we're
we're
doing
in
our
the middle.
talk as well. So join us, be sure to join
Yeah.
us for that. And we know we're over on time tonight, so just wanted to point out that everything that you saw here, all of the special offers that you saw, all are available on our live page. So that's www.houthustle.com/live. We do also do a live show every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're not on our newsletter to get those information and to talk about, just to get all the freebies that we got there, you can sign up for that at houthustle.com. And if you have any questions from the chat, or if you just want to write in and let us know how you're feeling, what you're experiencing, you can do that on our Instagram page at How Hustle Live. And then also just email us at team@houthustle.com.
And last night I shared the beautiful Judith poem from Judith Costa, her forgiveness prayer. That's on Instagram, as well as some of Fallon Jordan's supplementation that she talked about that people were looking for. So again, it's instagram.com/How Hustle Live.
All right, everyone. Well, we're just here. We're out hustling. We're reminding you to take a little time to enjoy the
Woo. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.